Happy Father's Day. Luke Combs just released his new album, Fathers and Sons, and I love it.
I hope he never finds out that I didn't hang the moon.
The entire project initially reminded me of Even Though I'm Leaving, but now that he's a father himself, he's able to ride the really interesting line of being able to write from both a father and a son's perspective, which gives him a lot of perspective to approach writing about fatherhood from. I love the entire project, but I'm going to go through each song and try to give my brief thoughts on each.
Walking through the front door, hearing Daddy at the top of his lungs.
Front Door Famous is about Luke's guilt that he can't always be home, but also the feeling of coming home and being welcomed like a hero by his own son. It's a great song to start the album, and I like how honest and personal it is to his own story and the stage of life he's in right now. And it really sets the tone for the themes of having to be away and hoping his son understands that it's all for him.
In case I ain't around when you get older.
In Case I Ain't Around, it's a really clever and kind of doubly sad song, giving his son all the advice he'll need in case Luke isn't around when he's older. And the obvious connotation is in case something awful happens and Luke passes away at an early age, but in the context of the rest of the album, there's the implication that he might not be as present in his son's life because of his work. And that double meaning elevates the song so much for me.
Even if it's just time we're killing, it's never felt more like living.
I heard a demo of this song, and I've been super anxious to hear the full release ever since. It's all about taking his son hunting for the first time, and how building those precious memories while he's still young is worth so much more than any deer he could shoot on his own. Something about the imagery, I can just picture myself giddy to feel all grown up spending the day with my dad. But even though he knows I won't really be able to keep up, that feeling and those memories are the real prize.
Can I really want it? Dad, you're my best friend.
Little Country Boys is my least favorite song from the album. The idea is about kids growing up just like their dads in the country and trying to follow what they do. But I feel like that flies in the face of the next song, and I'm not the biggest fan of country songs that are just about how country they are. The rhythm is kind of interesting, with Luke singing at an almost pulsing pace, but it just doesn't really work for me.
So what if you don't stick around this little town to raise?
In contrast to the previous, this song hits me the hardest out of any on this album. It's really just about accepting and loving his son, whoever he turns out to be. But there's something powerful to me about just going out and saying it. A lot of people show their love by introducing their children to things that make them happy, and hoping to share that thing with them. But sometimes it takes a deeper love to truly accept and support them in their own passions.
'Cause I remember him 10 feet tall and bulletproof, throwing me a ball in cowboy boots.
This song hits particularly close to home with me because of my grandfather, who's had some health issues in the past few years. And it's hard to see him struggling with things he used to find easy, because we all remember him as the unshakable Superman that we all made him up to be. But this song is a reminder that even as time starts to make him more human, he'll always be our own personal superhero in our memories.
I hope he never finds out that I didn't hang the moon.
It makes a lot of sense that The Man He Sees in Me was released ahead of the album, because it's all about Luke and his son and the way he looks up to him. I've definitely heard it more than the rest, but it's still one of my favorites from the album. In particular, the pressure Luke puts on himself to live up to those expectations just really resonates. But I already shared my thoughts on it last week, so I'll move on.
But the light stayed on somehow.
All I ever do is leave is the manifestation of Luke's fear that his son will see him as an absent father who never cared or did anything for him. But as he's grown up, he's recognizing all the sacrifices his dad made for him, even when he didn't realize it at the time. And as he's forced to make some of the same sacrifices, he's afraid because he knows the cost. But he hopes that someday his son will come to understand like he did.
So fill up your heart with love, pass it on before you go.
Plant a Seed is Luke's dad giving him advice about raising his own son. It's kind of simple relative to the rest, just about not taking time for granted and trusting God along the way. But it's really heartfelt, honest, and hopeful, assuring that as long as he does his best to nurture him, he'll be okay.
We took a ride around and talked about the way back when's in the I know now.
Ride Around Heaven reminds me a lot of If Heaven Wasn't So Far Away by Justin Moore. Luke dreams about taking a ride with his grandfather, catching up on everything that's happened since he passed. And in that spiritual moment where he knows his loved ones are listening in heaven, it can be so real that he would swear there would be tire tracks in the driveway in the morning.
He said lessons they ain't gotta come the hard way.
My Old Man Was Right is about learning lessons the hard way and finding out when he's older that, sure enough, he probably should have listened. Similar to Plant a Seed, he talks about his father's advice and how he's coming to understand him more and more as he gets older, now that he has a child of his own.
Take me out to the ball game, pick me up at the house.
One When I saw the last song of the album was called Take Me Out to the Ballgame, I assumed it was going to be a cover of the classic. So I was blown away that not only was it an original song, but it was one of the most moving songs in the entire project. In it, Luke is the child of divorced parents, and his longing to see his father more often is manifesting as wanting to go watch baseball with him. There are so many great lines that, as a child of divorced parents myself, hit really close to home with me. And listening to a young boy feel like it's his fault that his parents aren't together just breaks me inside. To be honest, it's kind of a standalone song that doesn't mesh super well with the other themes of the album, but I'm super grateful it was included. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this album holds a special place in your heart as it does for me. If you resonated with it, I really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up and shared it with all the dads in your life. Happy Father's Day.
The man he sees